My name is Julian Crowe. I am 46 years old, and this is not a story about revenge born from anger. This is a story about revenge born from clarity. Because anger fades, but clarity stays. For most of my life, I believed one dangerous lie. That loyalty would protect me. I gave 24 years to one institution. No gaps, no scandals, no drama. While others climbed by politics, I climbed by results. I didn't network. I didn't perform confidence. I delivered. And that made me useful, not powerful. I was the man they sent in when things went wrong, when deals collapsed, when audits approached, when mistakes needed to disappear quietly. I fixed problems without asking who caused them. That was my reputation. That was my mistake. They don't remove people who shine. They remove people who know too much. The meeting was scheduled for a Tuesday. Mid-morning. Neutral timing. That's how you hide executions, between coffee and lunch. The room was full of familiar faces. People who had praised me. People who owed me. People who avoided my eyes. That's when I knew. The chairman spoke first. His voice was calm, almost kind. Julian, we're making some structural changes. Structural changes. Words designed to sound intelligent while meaning nothing. They thanked me. That part came first. They always thank you before they erase you. They talked about fresh direction, about modern leadership, about evolving priorities. Then they introduced my replacement, a man younger than me, a man I trained, a man who never challenged me until he wanted my seat. I didn't interrupt. Men who interrupt reveal weakness. They offered me a consultancy role, temporary, limited, silent. That's how you keep someone close while taking away their power. I declined. That surprised them. People like me aren't supposed to say no. The chairman leaned forward. This isn't personal, Julian. That sentence always means the opposite. I stood up, thanked them for their honesty, and walked out. No argument, no scene, no last words. In the hallway, my reflection looked unfamiliar. Not broken, awake. At home, I sat in the dark. No television, no phone, just thoughts. I replayed everything. Not emotionally, strategically. Who benefited? Who moved first? Who stayed silent? Betrayal leaves fingerprints. You just need the patience to see them. 3 days later, the call stopped. Emails went unanswered. My name was quietly removed from internal systems. Not publicly, internally. That's how erasure begins. Then something interesting happened. They started making mistakes. Small ones. Then visible ones. Deadlines slipped. Clients complained. Processes slowed. They blamed transition challenges. I smiled. Because I wasn't the problem. I was the structure. That night, I wrote one sentence in a notebook. They didn't remove me because I was weak. They removed me because I was dangerous. I didn't plan revenge immediately. Revenge without understanding is suicide. Instead, I watched, listened, waited. Because the most powerful revenge doesn't announce itself. It lets people believe they've won. And they believed it. Every single one of them. Silence is not empty. It's observant. After they removed me, they expected noise. Anger. Legal threats. Public statements. I gave them none of it. That confused them. People fear what they can't measure. For weeks, I disappeared. No updates. No interviews. No desperate LinkedIn posts about new beginnings. Just quiet. Quiet enough to hear the cracks. I rented a small place far from the city. Nothing impressive. A desk. A chair. A window. That was all I needed. Every morning, I woke early. Not to plan revenge. To understand the battlefield. They had removed me from the building. Not from the system. Because systems remember who built them. I mapped everything. Processes I designed. Approvals I controlled. Exceptions I allowed. Not out of ego. Out of preparation. I knew where the shortcuts were. And more importantly, who depended on them. Inside the company, change came fast. Too fast. They wanted to prove I was holding them back. Speed rep lack. Ed caution. That always ends the same way. They hired aggressively. Young leaders. Confident voices. Empty experience. Men who spoke well and listened poorly. Decisions that once took days now took minutes. No discussion. No resistance. Just momentum. Momentum without direction is chaos in disguise. I received my first call in the 3rd week. A former colleague. Not friendly. Careful. Are you all right? He asked. That's not concern. That's curiosity mixed with fear. I'm fine, I said. Why? He hesitated. Then hung up. Fear spreads quietly. Clients began asking questions. Not about me. About stability. That mattered. One evening, I received an email from a long-term partner. Private. Untraceable. Are they safe without you? That question told me everything. I replied with one line. Tom will answer that. Meanwhile, inside the company, leadership meetings grew longer. Not because they were productive, because no one wanted responsibility. I watched as decisions were delayed, then rushed, then revised. That cycle breaks trust faster than failure. They blamed transition. They blamed markets. They blamed everything except the truth. One night, I opened my notebook again and wrote, "Silence doesn't weaken you. It teaches others how much they depended on you." I still didn't move, because patience isn't waiting. It's timing. The first real mistake came in the fourth week. A deal I had blocked for years was approved. No safeguards, no hesitation, just confidence. That deal would unravel everything. Not immediately, gradually, and they wouldn't know until it was too late. I closed the notebook, and for the first time since my removal, I smiled. Not because I wanted them to fail, because I knew they would. The first crack didn't make headlines. It never does. It appeared as a delay, a missed confirmation, a partner asking the same question twice. Small things. Small things are where systems confess. Inside the company, meetings multiplied, not because problems increased, because confidence decreased. People stopped saying APPR. Oved. They started saying, should be fine. That phrase is the sound of responsibility being passed around like a disease. The deal they rushed through, the one I blocked for years, started misbehaving. Not catastrophically, inconsistently. Numbers didn't align. Reports contradicted each other. Risk exposure expanded without warning. No one could explain why. Because the explanation used to be me. I stayed invisible, but not inactive. Former clients reached out quietly, not for help, for reassurance. Are they still following protocol? One asked. Protocols don't matter when people trust them. They matter when people don't. I never spoke against the company. That was important. Silence preserves credibility. Inside, leadership changed tone. Urgency replaced optimism. Then frustration replaced urgency. A senior manager resigned. No farewell email. Just gone. That's never random. Then another. Then another. Each exit removed institutional memory. And memory is what prevents repetition. They didn't notice the pattern. They blamed morale. One evening, I received a message. No greeting. Just a sentence. Did you design the approval cascade for international contracts? I stared at it for a long moment. Then closed the phone. That question meant one thing. They were lost. The board noticed delays. They asked for explanations. They received presentations. Presentations hide more than they show. The new leadership spoke confidently. But confidence without control sounds hollow. Boards hear that. Funding slowed. Not withdrawn. Paused. Pauses scare executives more than rejection. Inside the company, fear changed behavior. People started documenting everything. Confirming instructions in writing. Saving emails. Fear turns offices into archives. I wrote another line in my notebook. When people start saving proof, they no longer trust protection. Late one night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, breathing on the other end. Then a voice. Julian. Not angry. Not arrogant. Careful. We may need your input, he said. Input. Not leadership. That's what people ask for when they want answers without responsibility. You remove my input. I replace. IED calmly. I respected that decision. Silence followed. Heavy. He hung up. That call changed everything. Because once leadership reaches backward, the illusion of control is gone. The next week, an audit request arrived. Routine language. Serious implications. Audits don't accuse. They observe. And observation is dangerous when shortcuts exist. I didn't smile. This wasn't revenge yet. This was gravity. I closed my notebook. The system was doing what it was designed to do. Remember, boardrooms don't feel dangerous. That's how they survive. The audit request didn't cause panic. It caused performance. Smiles sharpened. Slides polished. Language softened. When truth approaches, people decorate lies. The meeting was scheduled early, before markets opened. That's not confidence. That's containment. I wasn't invited. Of course not. You don't invite ghosts to explain why the house is cold. Inside the room, questions came slowly. Not accusations. Clarifications. Clarifications expose weak foundations faster than confrontation. Why were approval layers removed? Why were risk flags overridden? Why were experienced managers replaced simultaneously? No one answered directly. They spoke around answers. Boards hear that immediately. One member leaned forward. Was Julian Crowe's framework intentionally dismantled? Silence. That question wasn't about me. It was about intent. The new head spoke. Confident tone. Weak content. Julian's approach was cautious. We needed speed. Speed. The favorite excuse of men who don't understand consequences. Another board member didn't look convinced. Speed toward what? She asked. That's the question leaders fear. Documents were shared. Audit summaries. Process comparisons. Deviation timelines. Clean. Neutral. Damaging. No blame. Just math. Math doesn't care about ambition. The board didn't raise voices. They never do. They exchanged looks. That's worse. They requested independent verification. External. Uncontrolled. That single request collapsed confidence in the room. After the meeting, no statements were released. Silence again. Silence is never empty. It's preparation. Inside the company, rumors sharpened. People stopped taking risks. Decisions stalled. Fear replaced initiative. I received an email that night. From the board's secretary. Short. Formal. The board may request your presence for advisory clarification. Advisory. Not leadership. Not yet. I didn't respond immediately. Timing matters. The next morning, the company issued a small update. Nothing alarming. Just operational adjustments. Markets shrugged. Internally, panic deepened. Another resignation followed. Then another. Leadership roles emptied quickly. Competence exits before collapse. When I finally replied, I used 7 words. Available for system clarification only. Nothing else. That response changed the power balance. Because I wasn't asking to return. I was allowing access. The advisory meeting was different. Smaller room. Fewer voices. Serious faces. They asked me to explain decisions I made years ago. Not to defend myself. To understand consequences. I answered calmly. No emotion. No ego. Just logic. When I finished, no one spoke. They didn't need to. One board member finally said it. We removed the wrong variable. That sentence ended careers. I stood up. Not triumphant. Measured. I warned against speed without structure. I said. You chose differently. No blame. Just fact. They didn't ask me to fix it. Not yet. First, they needed to understand how deep the damage ran. As I left the building, I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction. Alignment. Because revenge wasn't something I was doing. It was something unfolding naturally. I wrote one last line that night. Power doesn't disappear. It waits for incompetence to expose itself. Power doesn't disappear suddenly. It loosens. After the advisory meeting, the company stopped pretending. Not publicly. Internally. Emergency sessions replaced scheduled meetings. Decisions that once took weeks were now demanded in hours. Urgency is the final language of failing leadership. The board split quietly. Not into sides. Into fear levels. Some wanted to contain damage. Others wanted accountability. Accountability is expensive. The executive team changed behavior. Voices lowered. Jokes vanished. Confidence became careful. That's when you know authority is no longer trusted. I was invited again. This time, not as an advisor. As a stabilizing option. The offer was indirect. No title mentioned. No announcement planned. Just one question. Can this be saved? I answered honestly. Yes, I said. But not the way you want. Silence followed. Saving something doesn't mean restoring what existed. It means accepting what failed. They asked for a plan. Not a rescue. A containment. I outlined it clearly. Restore controls. Reverse unauthorized changes. Pause high-risk operations. No shortcuts. No heroics. They hesitated. Because my plan removed the very people they promoted. One executive pushed back. We'll look weak. I looked at him. We already do. The board recs. TED data. Independent. Unfiltered. That decision sealed the outcome. Within days, findings surfaced. Not illegal. Negligent. That's worse. Names appeared repeatedly. Patterns formed. Responsibility couldn't be diffused anymore. One by one, executives stepped aside. Personal reasons. Strategic realignment. Language softened reality. I watched it all without celebration. Because collapse isn't victory. It's consequence. Then came the call. From the man who replaced me. Not angry. Exhausted. I didn't know, he said. That sentence doesn't absolve anyone. You didn't want to know, I replied. Truth doesn't require cruelty. He resigned 2 days later. No farewell. just absence. The company released a statement. Leadership changes. Renewed commitment. Forward focus. The usual. But this time, the market reacted differently. Because the cause was visible. The board called me again. Direct this time. We want you back. I didn't answer immediately. This was the moment revenge usually turns into corruption. That night, I walked alone. Thought carefully. Because what I chose next would define who I was. I opened my notebook one last time. And wrote, if I return as they were, I become what broke them. I closed the notebook. The decision was already made. They wanted me back. Not publicly. Not loudly. Quietly. That's how institutions apologize. The offer came without conditions. Title. Authority. Restoration. Everything they took. They expected hesitation. They got clarity. I asked one question. Who decides when speed replaces structure again? No one answered. Because no one could. That silence told me everything. I declined the position. Not emotionally. Practically. Power doesn't corrupt instantly. It invites repetition. Instead, I offered something they didn't expect. A framework. Not centered on me. Not dependent on loyalty. Dependent on accountability. Shared authority. Independent oversight. Non-negotiable controls. Systems that survive egos. They resisted. Then they realized they had no leverage. Because failure had already taught them. The board agreed. Not because they trusted me. Because they feared chaos more. My replacement never called again. He didn't need to. His ambition had already answered for him. Months passed. The company stabilized. Not impressively. Correctly. No headlines. No celebration. Just quiet recovery. That's how real repair looks. On my 47th birthday, I sat alone with coffee. No speeches. No regrets. Just distance. I didn't win by destroying anyone. I won by refusing to become what destroyed them. People still ask what happened. I say, I was removed. And leave it there. Because the rest isn't anger. It's education.